On this episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast, we talk about Make Them Suffer by Make Them Suffer. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
We're two professional broadcasters. We like metal, and we like to talk about it. And today we're talking about an album from last year. Self-titled album.
That's a pretty good album.
Self-titled album from an Australian metalcore band called Make Them Suffer. They've been around for a while. I used to listen to them an awful lot, and then kind of there's a big gap in the amount that I have listened to them after an album in 2015 that I quite liked, and then just I didn't really bother with anything that came after that for some reason. And yeah, I was like, let's just check out what's up with them and how they sound like. And boy, they sound different.
Do they sound different? Because I didn't listen to their other stuff.
They sound very different. They used to be a much more like their first EP and their first album was very distinctly like a blackened deathcore album.
Oh wow.
And they've leaned more towards metalcore as the things went on. Like their second album was even more, I would say, more of a metalcore album. It definitely had a few tracks on it that you would call deathcore tracks, but like they started leaning in a little bit lighter direction as things went on. But
this is very metalcore. Yeah,
this is very metalcore, and a lot of electronic elements in there as well. Very, very different from what it once was. The band is also, in its composition, very different from what it used to be. They've gone through a number of pretty significant lineup changes, where the only two original members of the band left are the vocalist and the lead guitarist.
What? There's only one vocalist?
I mean, there's two vocalists.
Okay, I was gonna say. That's impressive.
If I say
that's the same vocalist.
If I say vocalist, I mean lead vocalist.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, for most of their history, he was. I mean, they've usually had someone on, usually a woman on keyboard, doing backing vocals. That's just kind of been a fixture of the band since they got started. But most of the vocals was usually Sean. But we'll talk more about Make Them Suffer later. How you doing?
Life is good.
That's good. How was the weekend? I know you things were planning. Things were planning. The things were planning. The plan was that you were going to be very busy.
And I was. It looks like. I mean, starting last week, I'm just going to be one busy MRFer for the next couple of months.
You can swear, OJ. It's fine.
Gosh darn it! It looks like. I had a child graduate on Sunday. And then I had my oldest child and her husband. She's going to be 30 next week. They were staying with me, and now I've got my youngest child staying with me all week. And then this weekend it's going to be more. You know what? It kind of feels like I'm in a slow intervention. That's what it feels like.
Oh my goodness! All the people are coming in. You know, coming in and out.
I don't have any alone time at all.
Yeah, interesting. Well,
which is fine,
I suppose.
But I'm exhausted. My social battery is just blinking red.
Yeah.
And it's going to go out.
I did nothing whatsoever all weekend.
Jelly.
And that's what needed to happen because by the end of the day Friday, I think if someone asked me to do a single thing, I may have killed them. And then immediately collapsed into a coma.
Yeah.
I was so fucking burnt out by the end of the week last week.
Oof.
Like, I don't know, and like it's workload wise, it wasn't that much nuttier than some other weeks have been. We were just down a person. We were down a person, but like it just. I don't know. It didn't feel like it should have been as draining as it was. But I had nothing left on Friday. I was running on fumes the entire day.
Actually, that was me this afternoon. Oh, and I feel terrible. So I came home and I was just cranky, and I couldn't figure out why I was cranky, except for the fact that I was hungry and I was so exhausted I could barely stand.
You're not you when you're hungry.
No, you're not. I was Betty White. So so what I was like, oh damn it, I need to renew these prescriptions. I was going to do that all day today, and then I got busy and doing other stuff, and so I called my pharmacy, and the automated service was getting impatient with me. So he's like, please put in your prescription number. Please put in your 7-digit prescription number. Please put in your... It's like, fuck you!
Give me a fucking second.
Yeah, because I couldn't read it, so I threw everything at the door, and I look over there at my 14-year-old, and he's like stiff as a board, and then he started to tear up, and I'm like, oh, sorry, buddy, come here, I'm sorry.
Oh, jeez.
Love you. He's such a sweetheart that when anybody gets mad or frustrated or angry...
I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad at you. I promise.
The stupid fucking phone robot.
Yeah. So then he went in and did the dishes, and I said, I'm going to go get you a chili dog.
There we go. Chili dogs.
Yeah.
Chili dogs.
One of the chili dogs from Rockies.
Rockies.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to, I should, where are they at? Are they on North Hill?
North Broadway.
Okay.
You know where Taco John's used to be.
Okay, it's not that massively far away then.
No, it's next to Subway there.
Okay. By the college?
Yeah, just south of the college.
Okay. That is still quite a bit further than I tend to go for any kind of food if I'm going to get food.
And it's one of those foods you want to eat there if you can. Because I just live a couple of blocks from there.
Yeah.
But it's the fresher you get it, the better it is.
Yeah. I mean, it was still pretty good when it got brought to us in the studio.
Right.
It was still pretty darn...
It was pretty good.
Pretty darn good.
Across town, yeah.
But, yeah, I did nothing at all weekend except just play video games and try not to speak to other human beings. And I think that did me some good. I was trying to conserve energy last week. I only was on my stationary bike on Monday last week, and I didn't get back on it until yesterday, just because I'm just like so much more fatigued when if it's the first thing I do in the day, and like when I do it, I'm tired all day usually.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm going to try and do every other day, because what I was doing before was the idea was I was going to do the first 4 days of the week, skip Friday, and then maybe do Saturday or Sunday or something like that. I think that was just not sustainable,
not realistic.
I think I need a gap day in between to not be so tired all the time. But I was just desperately trying to conserve any and all energy at all last week, and I barely made it through.
Right.
But I don't know. I was so tired.
I need me time.
Yeah. I think that was the biggest thing, is there was just too much having to pretend to be a normal professional person.
Yeah.
Throughout the week, and even I didn't have enough isolation the 2 days afterwards. Remotes aren't that huge of a deal, especially when they're on weekends, because then I can just go home and be alone for a while. But when it's 2 days in a row and then I've got 2 more days of work, I just feel like I have not recovered at all.
Right, because we had to do 3 days at the bloodbath.
Yeah, the bloodbath. Well, and then I kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit as well on Thursday afternoon, because I went and gave blood.
Sure.
So that's
4 days at the bloodbath.
Yeah. That didn't help me much when it comes to trying not to be super tired. The next day.
Right, because that's 600 calories right there.
Yeah. That I hadn't donated in a while. I don't remember when the last time I had donated blood was. But I didn't remember it going nearly so quick. I think I got my donation done in like 7 minutes. something like that.
Wow.
Which was impressive. But I was talking to the person who's taking my blood, and they're like the fastest we've seen is someone got it done in about 3.5 minutes, and we were all like, "Ma'am, are you okay?"
My blood pressure is 200 over 150.
Yeah,
so it just squirts out.
Yeah, I don't think my blood pressure was anything to be worried about necessarily. Although if at some point in my life, I'm sure it will be, because the history of high blood pressure in my family, and I have the diet of a campground raccoon, to quote Kyle Kinane. Eating.
My son saw his stand up for the first time last night.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. Good old Uncle Barbecue. But yeah, so that was it was a fun experience. One thing I don't particularly like about giving blood, I really, and the feeling does go away as like your arm kind of goes numb a little bit,
right?
But like for the first couple of minutes, the fact that you can feel the needle sitting there, and any tiny movement of your arm, you can sort of feel the tip of the needle shift. I hate that. I really hate it. I'm not particularly squeamish around needles. They don't really bother me. I'm not afraid of them. But when they have to stay in you for a while, like I can't imagine being like I've never been in a hospital bed for a long time with like IVs and stuff.
Yeah,
that would really drive me insane. I think. I'm sure you'd get used to it.
Get used to it.
And like even while I was sitting there, I got used to it. But
right. When I had my brain transplant,
your brain transplant?
Yeah.
Whose brain did you get? I guess whose brain are you? Because that, if you got a brain transplant, then you would become a different person.
It was Abby something.
Okay, you would want a head transplant, is what you would want.
Abby
and you would want
normal.
Abby normal.
Yeah.
You would want your head transplanted onto someone else's body.
Sure.
So was it Owen Bennett's brain getting transported into this body I see before me, or was it this body I see before me with another brain being put in it?
I don't remember.
Okay, you don't know which one was the original.
Exactly.
Oh my God!
I'm like the what are the twins? The
Mahler twins.
Yeah, the Mahler twins
from Invincible.
Right.
I did watch, or I saw in a video talking about the idea of head transplants and the potential feasibility of head. You might need a heart transplant.
Yeah, I might. It's possible.
But no, the like that they have been attempted before in relatively recent memory. There was a scientist who, or a doctor, surgeon, a neurologist, I believe, who was attempting it with monkeys in the 60s, 70s, I think.
Really?
And the transplanted head of this monkey did open its eyes. Of course, its spinal cord had been severed,
right?
So it wasn't able to move. But it was effectively alive. It was alive for a while. Didn't necessarily last super long, but there's some promise to the idea that you could, in theory, take someone's head off of their body and put it on a different one.
Right.
But there's also some ethical implications to that, maybe. But if you were to think about it, like, it's not ultimately that different from there is a difference, but on an objective level, how is it that much different than if someone dies and you get their organs?
Yeah, I don't know.
If someone dies and their body is intact,
right? They just went brain dead,
and you need a new body. and your head gets put on that body, like, yeah, there's something about, like, subjectively it feels wrong, but objectively it's not that different.
No, I mean, at what point would the wrongness be then? I mean, like half a body, you know?
Yeah,
a certain
it's
number of organs.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's an unknown. It's not been done before, and so it's weird.
Right.
I'm sure there were plenty of people who were really, really weirded out by the idea of organ transplants when they became viable.
Sure.
There are still people, mostly people in small fringe religions that are still very weirded out by even blood transfusions.
What is it, Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that did pop into my mind while I was giving blood. I was like, I wonder if there's any Jehovah's Witnesses that protest blood drives.
I don't know.
My understanding is they're not necessarily against it on a wider level. They're just don't. It's not for them. Like, I don't think it's one of those things that they're militantly opposed to. They just don't do it themselves.
Are there militant JWs? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't assume so.
Yeah.
But you associate that kind of thing with any sort of religion that has to proselytize, that has to, that has to go out and try and recruit people.
Right.
You associate that kind of mindset of, a willingness to go and protest things sometimes. Although now that I think about it, you don't see Mormons protesting stuff most of the time either.
Right.
They try really hard to just be friendly and approachable.
Yeah.
They take the opposite approach.
I mean, they're cool with Matt and Trey doing their thing.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, yeah.
That's fair.
I saw a video recently of somebody saying that they were one of these religious sects, saying we're part of this church. We don't celebrate Halloween. We just like to dress up and eat candy. That's all of what Halloween is.
Yeah,
that's the whole
literally. That's like someone who's an atheist being like, we don't celebrate Christmas, but we do give out presents, and we get together with the family.
Who put up a tree.
It's like, okay, that's Christmas.
Yeah.
It's fine to say it's Christmas and have it be secular. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You can call it Christmas. I don't know if these people exist. I think I just made those people up.
No, I mean, I'm kind of that way. I mean,
but you call it Christmas.
I call it Christmas.
You don't say like oh yeah,
Christmas.
Yeah, we're not celebrating Christmas.
Yeah, no.
It's yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of religion,
yeah.
I've been.
Oh no!
I finished Doom: The Dark Ages.
Okay, gotcha. Oh, you finished it.
Demons. And
sure.
Stuff.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I finished it. And I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it is. Doom Eternal, I think, is definitely my favorite of the three of the reboot series, such as it exists at this point. I think Doom Eternal is still my favorite, probably. I really like the mechanics. I touched on this last week.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Just having chest pains. No big deal.
Okay. It's just been noticeable enough that you're reacting to it. So I'm getting a little worried here.
No. What could go wrong?
Okay.
I'm fine.
All right. You should have some aspirin with you at all times or something. You do?
Oh yeah, of course I have aspirin.
Okay.
I think it's in my car though.
Okay. Well, anyway, don't have a heart attack.
Okay.
Please.
I promise.
If you have a heart attack, do it somewhere else. But anyway, I touched on this last week where I don't dislike the music, but
it's not Mick.
It's the music kind of bores me a little bit.
Right.
Where the music I think the music is the weakest aspect of the game, honestly.
Really?
Which is to say, like, the game as a whole is quite strong, and when you compare it to previous entries, the music is the thing that lacks the most.
Sure.
The while you're playing it, it's not really that noticeable. Although I did notice it a couple of times where I'm like, I feel like there should be something more. There should be something more to this riff, where the music just feels very samey.
Sure.
None of the songs really are distinct, which is one of the hallmarks of Mick Gordon's soundtracks.
Right.
Is every song was distinct, it was recognizable, and I really don't think that the soundtrack for the Dark Ages, which was done by I don't know if they're technically an in-house team, but I think they basically are, called Finishing Move Inc. I think they're basically like id's music team,
right?
But the songs don't hold up on their own, in my opinion. Like you can listen to and stream the whole soundtrack, and I did that, and I was listening to it, and it was just like these songs don't really hold up on their own.
Yeah.
The way that Mick Gordon's did, and continue to do, and like his writing, I feel like there's so much variety in every song, and there's always every repeat of a riff will have one little thing that's different. There will always be some new little glitch or some little bit that's changed.
Right. Mick doesn't really repeat riffs so much as he repeats motifs.
Yeah, it's there's so much variety in his soundtracks, and I think the soundtrack that Andrew Huschult did for the 2 DLCs for Doom Eternal.
Sure.
After the whole debacle with Mick Gordon and between Mick Gordon and id, after I think even that soundtrack had more of that quality to it. It was definitely different, and you could tell that it was not Mick Gordon, that it was someone else's style. But they had that same quality to them, where there was a lot of energy and variety. And maybe it's just that maybe because the Dark Ages is a bit more of a kind of grounded, sort of tanky experience. Maybe they wanted a soundtrack that was going to be a little bit more chugging and a little bit less wild and crazy. Maybe that's what they were going for, but I don't feel like that was for the best. I could have used like the bones. I think are good. They needed to add more stuff,
more flesh.
Yeah, the bones needed more. There needed to be more flesh on the bones of that there demon.
Yeah, what's funny is I bought the game myself.
Yeah.
I bought it for my son for his birthday. And I played it for about an hour, and I started to feel weird. And then I handed the controller over to my son-in-law, and he's playing it, and the more I'm watching him play it, the weirder I start to feel. And then I realized I was getting horribly motion sick.
Really?
So what I actually had to do?
Took some Dramamine.
Yeah, I bought a whole box of Dramamine. So now if I want to go home and play Doom,
I'm
going to take a Dramamine first.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the gameplay is all that like crazier that it should be making you motion sick compared to anything else.
But here's the thing: is that most FPS make me like what was it? Not Call of Duty, Medal of Honor. I got Medal of Honor for the PlayStation 2.
Really?
And it made me motion sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's my one weakness. It's my kryptonite.
Is first-person games.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, that's weird.
Which sucks because
there's a lot of
great
games.
Yeah.
But I do really, really like the gameplay of the Dark Ages. It definitely started to click. I was a little frustrated that partway through the campaign I had turned the difficulty down.
Really?
There are like the more sluggish weapon switching still does bother me a little bit, but I kind of got used to it. You just sort of have to accept that like most of the enemies that you're facing, you don't really have to switch weapons. Like you have your melee weapons, you have your shield runes. Like you have a lot more going on than just your weapon, just whatever gun you have pulled out. And there are definitely still certain weapons that you are meant to use in certain situations, but most of the time you can keep that weapon out and you don't have to. Like the optimal thing to do is not to quickly swap to a different weapon to do this one thing and then swap back to this other weapon and do yada yada yada. Like no, you can just keep the rocket launcher out. The rocket launcher actually is probably the most, like, one of the most useful and reliable weapons in the game.
Yeah.
Because the first upgrade you get for it is called Vampirism, where like the blast radius on the rocket launcher is significantly bigger than in previous games, and it also does a lot more damage to you.
When you use it?
If you are within the blast.
Right.
If you get hit by your own explosion, it does a lot more damage to you than it used to. What Vampirism does is if you have parried an attack, you now have a window where any damage you take from your own explosions gets converted into health. Which makes it extremely useful for fighting certain like late game super heavy demons that are extremely aggressive and constantly up in your face, and also constantly throwing parryable attacks at you. Nice. So you just parry, rocket, parry, rocket, parry, rocket, parry, rocket, and it's dead. It's like once I figured that out, things were sort of clicked a little bit better. The super shotgun is ludicrously powerful.
I mean, it's always kind of been that way,
but like now, if you are like right up against like a Mancubus, it instantly dies.
Nice.
Like there are a number of demons in the game that would normally take at least 3 shots from a super shotgun to take down. That if you are, as long as you are close enough and all the pellets from both barrels or most of the pellets from both barrels are hitting them, they are going to explode into a bunch of chunks. But yeah, that's it. Hey, you know what else kind of reminded me of Mick Gordon at times?
Make Them Suffer. I thought about that the whole time I was listening to this.
The music on this album, on occasion, definitely had some Mick Gordon vibes to it.
I was gonna say that.
The term I've heard used sometimes to describe his style is argent metal.
Argent metal, right?
I've heard more than a few people say that.
Not to be confused with the band Argent.
No, not to be, which was a progressive rock band.
Yes.
Definitely had some vibes of Mick Gordon, which I mean makes sense because like his style in itself is very rooted in a fusion of like electronic music and gent, which is ultimately what a lot of this is, mixed with gent, metalcore, electronic music. Those things kind of coming together. There's
some deathcore in there a little bit,
especially with the vocals, with Sean Harmarnis's vocals, and some occasional some new metal vibes here and there as well. So Make Them Suffer started out back in 2008. They're from Australia. I think they're from Perth, Australia, on the west coast. Perth, on the west coast there of Australia. And they've been going since 2008. I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that they're much more of like a blackened deathcore band when they got started, with a pretty strong sort of black metal vibe to them, and a much sort of gloomier, more not goth, I guess, because when you say goth about music, it implies a very specific thing,
right?
But like a gloomier aesthetic to it. They, like I said, they've sort of slowly transitioned. I haven't listened to, I think I listened to a little bit of their third album. I haven't listened to any of their fourth album. This is their fifth album, I believe. So the band at this point consists of Sean Harmarnis, who's the lead vocalist, one of the 2 original founding members of the band,
right?
Nick McLernan, who's the lead guitarist, Jaya Jeffrey, who's the bassist, Jordan Mather, who is the drummer, and then Alex Reed, who plays keys, including keytar, as well as providing backing vocals, that sort of thing.
I like it when they're both doing shouting vocals together.
Yeah, because she screams as well, and their previous keyboardists have only done clean singing, which that definitely does add a new sort of new element to it. Their previous keyboardist, who was actually their third keyboardist, left the band a couple of years ago. I saw something related to sexual assault allegations.
Really?
For her, I remember reading, that she had committed some matter of sexual misconduct. I remember seeing something related to that in music news article or something like that, but I don't remember any of the details. But she parted ways with the band, or the band parted ways with her, I'm sure, after that. So Alex Reed came in 2023, I think. She's in a different band whose name has escaped me. So now she does clean vocals. She does screamed vocals as well, as well as playing keyboards, which I feel like she's got a lot more to do on the keyboards. Yeah. There's a lot more samples. I feel like there's a lot more going on with the the inclusion of the electronic elements of their sound. It feels like there's more happening there, because I always kind of felt like the keys on and piano on their previous albums, like their first two albums that I listened to, was kind of threadbare. Like there wasn't, the playing. It wasn't Jordan Rudess, which is my mental benchmark for keyboardists in a band, which is not fair to have him as a benchmark. No, considering he's like the best in the world. Right. It never felt like there was a lot happening with the keys. Where I feel like if you pay attention to this, there's definitely a lot more happening theoretically, that would be controlled by a keyboard, I would have to imagine. Sure. But in addition to, I think, a much larger presence as a vocalist than either the two previous keyboardists. I think their first keyboardist didn't actually sing. The keyboardist that I'm most familiar with was Louisa Burton, who was with the band for their first two albums. And her, she didn't do quite a lot of backing vocals. She was there, but the presence was pretty understated. Yeah. I didn't listen to much of what they did with Book of Nile, who was their second keyboardist. I feel like Alex has a pretty strong presence on every song. Does this album slap? Yeah. I think so. Yeah. I do think it slaps. The reviews on the Wikipedia page came out to a 70, which is not particularly good. There were only 4 reviews. 2 of them were 6 out of 10s. Sure. So the sample size may be a bit small. I don't know how keen I am on this new sound of theirs. I think maybe it needs a little bit of refinement. It also is a big gap for me between the last album of theirs that I listened to with any regularity, and actually still go back to a fair amount. There's songs that I put in a lot of playlists that I make. It was from 2015, so it was 10 years ago. So a lot can happen musically with a band in that time. Right. So I don't I don't know how fond I am of the electronic additions. I think they make it work. I just don't know how much I personally appreciate it.
So it's possible that I like this more than you do, because I don't have that as perspective.
Yeah, you don't have the context.
Yeah, I don't have that context.
You don't have the baggage. Honestly, you don't have it. How did you feel about it? How did you like it?
It's crazy. I feel like the first half of the album is them really leaning into the metalcore thing. And just doing very, very solid, very capable, good metalcore. Yeah. And I feel like they got more songwriting in the second half.
Yeah, I think they they were kind of warming up in the first half, it felt like, whereas the second half feels like it's got a lot more going on, I think, in a lot of different ways too. Not just like, oh, you know, the second half of the album's where all the really heavy stuff is. No, there's more going. Yeah, there's more than that happening, and there's some more melodic stuff happening. That is one of the things that that is sort of missing from their new sound, is they did have a symphonic element. Some of their previous albums as part of their kind of more blackened aesthetic, I guess. There was some symphonic stuff happening on their first two albums, but I guess the electronic part has sort of replaced the symphonic part.
Yes.
What's your favorite song on that album?
The song where, because I drove around listening to this. I think the one that finally that made me go, huh? Was Tether, I think.
Tether, okay. I like No Hard Feelings quite a lot.
Yeah.
That one's, I don't know. That one was the one that I just kind of grabbed. I don't know. I always think about like D&D characters that I'm playing when I listen to certain albums.
Sure.
And I'm like, ooh, that one, I'm putting that one in a playlist. I'm grabbing that one, I'm putting it in there. So yeah, No Hard Feelings was the one.
All right.
It was the one.
Good song.
Yes. What metal? What metal with a T? No, what metal do you bestow upon this album, like Maz Kanata to Chewbacca?
Well, technically, it is a metal and a metal, but that's true. I'd say it's a silver.
I agree. It's a silver for me. Like I like this album. I don't want to imply that I dislike it at all. It's just different. I don't know. I expected it to be different. I knew that their sound had changed a fair amount. But yeah, my feelings on it are mixed at the moment. They're complicated.
Yeah, they actually they grew for me as I listened to it.
It's good,
but that's because that second half is different. It's like, oh, I feel differently about this now. Yeah. So yeah.
All right. Hell yeah. Oh, I do also I quite like the song Doom Switch as well.
That's the opening track, yeah.
No, that's in the middle. I'm pretty sure.
Is it?
Yeah, unless
wait a minute.
Your songs are in a different order on a different streaming service for some reason.
Maybe.
I don't know why that would be, but no, Doom Switch is okay. Doom Switch is the fourth track.
Oh, I know why. I know why I thought it was the beginning, because that's the song that came on when I started my car. Today I'd already listened to the other songs.
I see.
Gotcha, on my way home from work.
I like that one.
Yeah, it is a good song.
Fun. But next week, what do you want to talk about?
Have we ever talked about MOD? I know we talked about SOD, the Stormtroopers of Death. Yeah.
I think so. What's the name of the album you want to talk about?
Well, I was thinking USA for MOD.
I don't know.
This would be a complete left turn if you listen to that. You have a way of looking that up?
Maybe. What? So, I mean, probably not the album. What are some other albums that are by them? Because I don't recognize that album.
Well, if not USA for MOD, Surfin' MOD.
I don't think we've talked about them at all.
Sometimes when I pick an album, it's like, I wouldn't necessarily go back and listen to that again, but I think I need to show this to Kayle.
All right. Okay. So USA for MOD?
Yeah.
Okay. Right? That was the order?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that next week then. Until then, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to our podcast feed on whatever podcast service you're using to listen to us. Thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Bronze Metalist Podcast. I'm Kayle.
I'm OJ.
Congratulations.